Today on Inquirer, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla reveals suspended Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. is in Timor Leste seeking asylum. COVID-19 positivity rate in Metro Manila rises to 22.9% according to Octa Research. President Bongbong Marcos set to attend the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit in Indonesia. And following reports of unauthorized transactions depleting users' e-wallets, GCash assures that there is no fund loss. Good evening. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla reveals that suspended Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. is in Timor Leste seeking asylum. Our Justice reporter Tech Torres Tupas fills us in with the details live. Tech?
Neil, suspended Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. is in Timor Leste, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla said. He said based on the information given by the Philippine ambassador to Timor Leste, the lawmaker entered Timor Leste a week ago trying to seek special asylum status. He said Teves was seen in Timor Leste's capital city of Dili, where he applied for a protection visa with the intent of asylum. A one-page letter of Remulla to DFA Secretary Liga Manilas said that the DOJ has taken steps to designate Teves as a terrorist under the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020, and he has already asked the Anti-Terrorism Council to create a technical working group to work on the designation. Remulla asked the DFA Secretary to relay the DOJ steps to the country's ambassador to Timor-Leste, who in turn will relay the information to its government. Remulla said he is confident Timor-Leste's authorities will deny Teves' request, adding the latter is being sought not for political crimes that could be used as basis to grant an asylum application, but he is being sought for murder. Aside from being accused of masterminding the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Digamo, Teves is also facing multiple murder charges before the DOJ over the 2019 killing of former Negros Oriental board member Miguel Dungog and two others, as well as complaints of illegal possession of firearms and explosives. Teves, who refused to return to the country over fears for his safety, has denied any link to involvement in the killing. Sought for comment, Teves' lawyer, Ferdinand Topacio, says they have no comment as of this time on his client's move to seek asylum.
Tech, I have a question. You mentioned this in your report, actually. Congressman Teves has denied any involvement in the death of Governor Digamo. But despite this denial, he still refuses to go home over fears for his safety. So the question now is there a way for the Philippine government to compel Congressman Teves to go home and return to the Philippines and possibly explain his side and so on?
One of the possible things that the government can do is seek the help of the international police or the Interpol and designate him as a terrorist. Like what Justice Secretary Remulla said before, once designated as a terrorist, iliit na yung mundo niya. So he will have difficulty traveling to anywhere.
Another possible way that they could compel him to go home is by by the court issuing an arrest warrant against him. What's taking it so long for the court to issue an arrest warrant against Congressman Teves?
Currently, all the complaints against Congressman Teves is undergoing preliminary investigation before the DOJ. So we are waiting for a resolution from the prosecutor's office if the case will either be dismissed or if it will be filed before the court. Once it's filed in court, we again have to wait if the court will determine that there is enough basis to issue an arrest warrant.
So there are still a few more steps to follow before an arrest warrant could be issued. Thanks, Tech. That's Tech Torres Tupas reporting live. Octa Research reports that Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate has risen to 22.9% as of May 7. To tell us more, here's Zakarian Sarao reporting live. Zach?
Yes, Neil. Metro Manila's COVID-19 7-day positivity rate rose to 22.9 as of May 7, according to Octa Research fellow Guido David. This is 5 points higher than the rate recorded a week ago at 17.8%. However, David said that the rising trend is already slowing down and is expected to reach its peak within the next week. He also said it could even miss the 25% mark. Meanwhile, the nationwide positivity rate is currently at 18.8% as of May 8th, which is already lower than the previous day's 19.9%. On the other hand, DOH officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere, during a briefing, reiterated that the positivity rate is not the sole criterion on the country's COVID-19 situation, adding that the increase and decreases in the number of infections are expected due to the lower number of tests conducted as well as the country's increased mobility. Vergere also assured the public that the country's health utilization rate remains low. Back to you, Neil.
Thanks, Zach. That's Zakarian Sarao reporting live. The Department of Health reminds the public that the COVID-19 pandemic is not yet over. DOH officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere makes this statement despite the World Health Organization lifting the global state of public health emergency. According to Vergere, WHO's lifting of the global public health emergency is merely an acknowledgement of the fact that the world's response against the virus has been effective.
So even though the WHO has already lifted the public health emergency of international concern status, hindi po nila sinabing tapos na ang pandemya. Kaya gusto ho natin paalalahanan ng ating mga kababayan na even though the public health emergency of international concern has been lifted, we cannot be complacent at this point. Kailangan tuloy-tuloy pa rin tayo mapagmatyag. We are vigilant.
Meanwhile, Vergere says that the Interagency Task Force for Emerging Infectious Diseases would submit its recommendations to the Office of the President following the recent global development. According to Vergere, these recommendations refer to the government's next steps for the local state of public health emergency, and its implications will be to the country's COVID-19 response.
Yes, we confirm that we had our IATF meeting yesterday. All of the discussions yesterday were confidential, and we still cannot disclose because we have relayed or we will be submitting to the Office of the President our recommendations. But rest assured that the Department of Health has been able to provide the proposals and the recommendations, and there was this discussion among our member agencies.
Following several reports of unauthorized transactions and issues in accessing the application, the e-wallet service GCash stated no fund loss has occurred. Sofia Abrogar fills us in with the details live. Sofia.
Neil, earlier today, several GCash users reported unauthorized transactions that depleted their cash balances on the app, while others have raised concerns over difficulties accessing their accounts. GCash, the popular digital payments app of Globe Telecom, foiled suspected hacking attempts following these reports. According to a ranking Globe official, suspected hackers tried to siphon off an estimated total of 37 million pesos, all sourced from GCash users in relatively small amounts of a few thousand pesos each. GCash immediately put a hold order on the transfers once this pattern was detected. GCash decided to act after successive suspicious transactions were directed from its users' accounts to only two recipient accounts, one under East West Banking Corp and the other under the Asia United Bank. East West Bank said in a separate statement that they have been made aware of the news reports surrounding the system issues of another financial institution and are actively cooperating with authorities in investigating these reports. The e-wallet service also reassured users in an advisory that no fund loss had occurred and that all affected users could expect to see their balances replenished by 3 p.m. today. According to the Globe official, the transfers initially looked legitimate but were later suspected of having been validated by the perpetrators using information gathered from users through phishing techniques. In March, GCash introduced its double safe security feature to prevent account takeovers, which allow hackers to drain a user's e-wallet account. The feature is backed by facial recognition, which could prevent hackers from accessing the account even with a user's mobile PIN and one-time PIN. GCash still reminds its users, however, to keep MPINs and OTPs confidential. That's all from me, Neil. Back to you.
That's Sofia Abrogar reporting live.
Next on Inquirer today, President Bongbong Marcos to attend 42nd Asean Summit in Indonesia. And Miami Heat defeats the New York Knicks to take 3-1 lead in the Eastern Conference semifinal series.
This Inquirer Today will be back shortly.
This map of the Philippines has gone viral. But what's so special about it? Through this map, you can find out what travel level you are in based on the provinces you have already been to.
My name is Denz Del Villar, and I'm a software engineer. I'm based in Singapore, so I'm in Singapore right now. And I was the one who created the My Philippines travel level map app. Yung inspiration nito is I saw the Japanese travel map version. Some I think web developer also did it. I saw this back in way like 2019, and back then I just finished living and working in Japan. Kind of had a lot of travels in Japan, and I tried the Japanese map, and it was so cool. And I thought, oh, baka pwede gawin din to sa Philippines. So, yung Philippines travel level app, it will show you a map of the Philippines divided into the 83 provinces, which includes Metro Manila. And all you have to do is to tap on each province and choose the level of travel that you have experienced there. So, merong iba-ibang levels. Yung highest level is yung live there, if tumira ka doon. And then yung lowest score, yung 0, is you have never been there. And it's an indicator now you have to experience going there.
Despite being a software engineer, Denz did not have any background in web development. In building the map, he had a special kind of teacher, AI.
I was on a layover, was going to Turkey for a holiday. And then parang naisipan ko na why don't I use ChatGPT to help me create this app, to help me learn web development, and at the same time create this Philippines version of the travel map. So meron kaming mga long bus trips na sobrang boring. So ginagawa ko, nagko-code ako sa loob ng bus, ganun. Tapos tinetest ko, ganun. So ayun, sinimulan ko siya, and then I put up the site, and then I shared it on my Instagram stories, and then my friends quickly picked it up. And then I also shared it on Reddit, and then the fellow Redditors found it cool, and then they shared it on their own social media sites. Until ayon, sumabog na siya. Na-pick up na ni Makoy Dubs, ni DP Lenny, and then ayun, naging viral.
Being a travel junkie himself is one of Denz's inspirations in building his DIY map.
I think as a millennial, nasa DNA yata ang wanderlust sa amin. Although, sadly, mababa yung level ko sa Philippines travel level. I'm only on 62. And I think it's because soon after university, naging OFW na ako. For me naman, I think it's a wake-up call na kailangan ko pa talagang bisitahin ang maraming lugar sa Philippines. I try to look at all the other people's posts about the app, like the stories that they share, like why they have traveled that at that level, or why they haven't traveled at that level. So I'm looking at a lot of them, and I appreciate the stories behind them.
President Bongbong Marcos is set to attend the 42nd Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit, or Asean Summit, in Indonesia. In his pre-departure speech, Marcos vowed to advance community-building efforts as well as the Philippines' interests during the summit. He said the South China Sea issue and the situation in Myanmar will be discussed during the summit.
The leaders of ASEAN will also exchange views on pressing issues of common concerns, such as developments in the South China Sea, the situation in Myanmar, and major power rivalries, amongst others.
The president said he will also meet with officials of Timor Leste to discuss their prospective membership in the ASEAN. He will also participate in the 15th Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East ASEAN Growth Area. Marcos will take part in various interfaces with leaders with ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly and representatives of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, ASEAN Youth and the High-Level Task Force on the ASEAN Community Post 2025 Vision. This is the 13th foreign trip of Marcos in less than a year of assuming the presidency.
I look forward to our productive engagements with our always productive engagements with our ASEAN partners. This is a continuation of the process that we had begun, where deriving from the idea and the principle and the concept of ASEAN centrality in the face of the challenges that we have to answer.
Miami Heat defeats the New York Knicks 109-101 to take a 3-1 lead in their Eastern Conference semifinal series. Jimmy Butler produced 27 points and 10 assists, while Bam Adebayo scored 23 points and a game-high 13 rebounds. Jalen Brunson led the Knicks with 32 points and 11 assists, both game highs. Miami can clinch the best-of-7 series with a win on Wednesday in New York. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Lakers built a commanding lead in the Western Conference semifinals with a 104-101 victory over the visiting Golden State Warriors. Los Angeles took a 3-1 lead in the best-of-7 series. LeBron James finished with 27 points, and Lonnie Walker the fourth scored all 15 of his points in the fourth quarter. Golden State's Stephen Curry amassed 31 points, 14 assists, and 10 rebounds. But Klay Thompson was held to 9 points on 3 of 11 shooting from the floor and 3 of 9 success from three-point range. Game 5 between the Lakers and Warriors will be played in San Francisco on Wednesday. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Kinumpirma ng veteran TV host comedian na si Bossing Vic Soto na nabayaran na ng Tape Incorporated ang pagkakautang sa kanya na nagkakahalaga umano ng mahigit 30 million pesos. Sa press con ng bago niyang sitcom sa GMA7, ang Open 24/7 kasama sina Maha Salvador at Jose Manalo, natanong nga si Bossing tungkol sa nasabing issue. Nung una ay inakala ng mga miyembro ng entertainment media na nagbibiro lamang ang husband ni Pauline Luna dahil sa batuhan nila ng joke ni Jose sa question and answer portion ng MediaCon. Pero sa ambush interview ng media ay sinabi nga ni Bossing na totoong bayad na siya at naayos na sa wakas ang problema. Ayon pa sa TV at movie icon, buti na lang daw at na-media ang issue at nabayaran nga siya ng bonggang-bongga. Pero nang tanungin kung magkano ang eksaktong halaga ng binayaran sa kanya, ang sagot lang ni Bossing ay secret. Chika pa ng veteran TV host, matagal nang nagkakaproblema ang Itbulaga kaya hindi na bago sa kanila ang mga nangyayari ngayon sa programa, lalo na sa kanila ni Tito Soto at Joey De Leon. Natanong din ng komedyante kung okay na ngayon ang Itbulaga matapos maglabasan ang revelasyon hinggil sa pinagdaraanan ng buong produksyon, kabilang na nga ang mga host nito. Sagot ni Bossing, magsasalita raw siya pagdating ng tamang panahon.
Salamat sa lahat ng media, Bossing.
Oo nga. So, Bossing, nabayaran talaga, Bossing. Talaga bayad na talaga.
It's not a joke.
Ay, hindi joke. Ang bongga.
Pero more than 30
Oh, di ba? Yeah.
secret.
Ay.
Alam mo, TVJ, saray sa ganun eh. We started, halos wala kami sinesweldo. Sabi ko nga nung isang araw, may negative sa akin. Hindi naman pera-pera ang usapan. Mas mahalaga yung prinsipyo sa pera.
Pero bossing, okay na ngayon sa Itbulaga? Okay na po kayo ngayon sa Itbulaga with the halos host, with the bagong management?
I will comment on that when the right time comes.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil.
Maraming salamat, Irvin. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.